Hey guys, welcome back to another Normal Gays video where we take on LGBT insanity. I'm Brad Polumbo here with Clarkson Lawson.
What's up?
And special guest Guy Benson of Fox News fame. Guy, great to have you with us.
Hey gents, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we got to talk, and actually, ironically, we're going to cite Fox News once again. But some of these blue states are literally teaching young children in schools about non-binary identities. Take a listen to this.
For kindergartners, the objective is kids get to identify their own gender, and then the program lists at least 3 genders. And then the key message of this program is some people are boys, some people are girls, some people are both, and some people are neither.
So, Guy, my question is, you're a father. How quick are you switching your kids out of this class?
Real fast, if that were to happen. You can hear it. I'm pretty sure that was Charlie Hurt, my colleague, just reading what the program entails. These are kindergartners. These are 5-year-olds. And you have these adults forcing this on them by saying, okay, well, how do you identify? And then now we want you to name 2 or 3 other gender identities. Honestly, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. This is why I think there's such forceful pushback now in a lot of quarters, because as we said in a previous conversation on some of these topics, I think there's a lot of people who sit somewhere on this issue where I do, which is leave children alone. Don't indoctrinate little kids on this stuff. Don't experiment medically on minors, and don't violate the fairness of women's sports, right? Like, and beyond that, with adults, within reason, like, let's just be cool. We're a free country. When this is now happening in schools and you're forcing 5-year-olds to be like, oh, let's name a bunch of genders. That's not, because I was thinking about this, like when I was in kindergarten, which was now long ago, but there was always sort of some sense of healthy feel-goodery where it's like, well, it's okay to be different. People can be different. And that, because a lot of people feel different sometimes, and it's okay to sort of like affirm people that way. But this is very specific, right? The power of suggestion is really strong in human beings, especially children. And if you start telling little kids like, oh, here's the teacher telling all of us it's the right thing, like, let's name a bunch of genders, kids who shouldn't be thinking about this stuff at all. They're just trying to like basically learn the alphabet and like how to string together tiny words and maybe start to think about basic math concepts. To be sitting there being like, oh, well, Miss Smith keeps talking about what gender I might be and how there's other ones. And I thought it's boys and girls and that's what they say at home. But what are these other things? It's so confusing. It's so insidious. It's so unnecessary. And I think it's damaging. And a lot of people look at this type of thing. They're like, nope. And then people wonder why there's a backlash more broadly. It's because of this stuff.
I can only imagine what the teacher looks like that suggested this, because we've reacted to them so much. But I mean, it's like when you're 5 years old, you barely even know the differences between a boy and a girl. Like, you just know that some people look different. Like, oh, that's a boy, that's a girl, and that's it. To understand even their argument for gender identity involves a level of complex thinking that understands, societal expectations and gender norms that 5-year-olds could not possibly comprehend. So I really don't, even on an educational level, even if we're operating under the assumption
we shouldn't ask them to. We shouldn't ask them to.
No, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. But even if it did,
it doesn't even make sense to us.
It's not even like 5-year-olds don't even have the ability.
Well, and that's the other thing. You are literally teaching young, impressionable children things that are not true.
Correct.
For like the idea that there is man, woman, and other. No, there are 2 human sexes, actually,
Yes.
Male and female, and they are binary and finite. And there's like extremely rare genetic conditions and exceptions that they do not need to be getting into in kindergarten.
Well, I'm thinking about myself. Like when I was 5, I loved being in my mom's dresses, in her makeup. If I was told, oh, there's more than one gender.
Or you get to just choose.
You get to choose. I would be 8 years old, like ready to start taking Lupron because I was convinced that I was a woman. Like, it's true. It's crazy.
I do sort of wonder, like, and this goes to broader conversations about this stuff. Like, I do think in some cases where you've got parents or guardians or teachers even, like it almost becomes their whole personality of like, oh, I have trans students or I have a trans child.
You
Where
mean
it's
when
like,
a celebrity has 2 trans kids?
yeah, where it's just like statistically basically impossible. Like, okay, like there's something else going on here and it's not the kids. I think that is, in some extreme cases, I think it's actually abusive and like really myopic and very, very creepy and bizarre.
I also think this is something that repulses normies who aren't even politically engaged. So it's like, I know I've heard of many a Hillary Clinton voter who encountered some of this crazy gender ideology in their blue state school system, spoke out about it, was called a bigot, or just had some concerns, and now a few years later they're a Trump voter now. Like,
It'll radicalize you for sure.
if you start talking to my 5-year-old and teaching them about non-binary, yeah, that would radicalize me. We would have a problem.
Yeah. I don't care about tariffs at that point. Like, I'm sorry, I don't.
I mean, I still do, but
Okay, yes, but like, let's be serious. What matters more in your day-to-day life?
your kids.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's like the one thing is, do not mess with people's kids. There's just no better way to get a social backlash. And then I'm curious for your thoughts on this guy, but like, I have no ill will towards just a random trans person, but I deeply resent the fact that I, as a gay man, am somehow lumped in with any of this. What does this have to do with me?
Yeah. I think it's like, oh, well, here's sexual gender minorities. So let's make this alphabet soup, like never-ending acronym that keeps getting longer and longer. And I don't have animus towards lesbians or anyone else on the long list of letters, but like I
have a little bit towards the lesbians, just like this much.
Okay, but that's like probably just
maybe a little bit.
that's sort of like typical intra homosexual dynamics, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I don't care, it doesn't bother me, but I'm not any of the other letters, right? I'm one of the letters. And so I don't necessarily feel like I need to immediately feel kinship with these other groups. I think I can feel respectful towards others. I can understand being a sexual or gender minority is, different and we're not the majority or whatever. But like, I feel like a cisgender dude who's attracted to dudes is just like categorically different than someone who thinks that they're in the wrong body and that their genitalia doesn't match their spirit or whatever, right? Like that's just not the same. So I know that there is kind of some of this bullying within the community and within activists specifically. Like if you are not on board for every single new bleeding edge, whatever we're doing, especially on the trans stuff, because that's where we've won a lot of the battles, right? We've persuaded a lot of people on same-sex marriage and other stuff. And they're like, well, there always has to be the next thing. And the next things seem to be getting crazier. And the activists are trying to enforce it like, oh, if we're not saluting and report and like repeating and regurgitating whatever the new thing is instantly, then, oh, we're betraying the family or betraying the cause or self-loathing or whatever. Like my opinions on trans issues actually have nothing to do with my view of myself as a gay man. That's not the same thing. And so I do think they've overplayed that hand as well. Like you'll get sort of, I don't want to be too disrespectful, but like the sheep gays who are sort of default leftists and they all see what they're all posting on Instagram stories or whatever. And they're like, oh, this is what we think. And they just repeat it like share, whatever, right. Whatever it is.
Could
like,
be a little.
Like, we see that all the time, but like, I feel like the compliance and the obedience is coming down among people.
Oh yeah, big time.
We're kind of like, no, we don't. I'm not that. I don't need to be associated with that. But thank you.
Yeah, the vibe has definitely shifted. I mean, when I first started speaking out, particularly against the child transitions, I mean, I was literally told if I went to the gay bars in DC, they would catch me outside. Like I was kicked off a men's soccer league for gay men because they said I made any trans men who were members. There weren't any, by the way, so this was hypothetical. I made them unsafe. And now I don't live there anymore. DC, I mean, you can tell us, is probably still a little bit like that because it's just such a political city. But in general, I think the vibe has very much shifted within gay people feeling more free to have different views and speak out.
There's also a very sizable center-right gay population in DC. right? I'd say
Mhm.
more so than a lot of other cities for the reasons that there's like, this is where politics is, right? And then in terms of like, I don't know, this may come as a shock to you, but I'm not super plugged into the community in my
No.
personal life. Like, I'm not out at the club very often. I'm not doing gay kickball. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, pull up your giant knee socks and go have a great time
Do you
and
wear
go
knee
to
socks?
number 9 or whatever. But like, I have multiple jobs and a child, right? Like, I don't have time necessarily for any of that stuff anymore, especially as I'm getting older. So, like, maybe it's still very toxic and there'd be all sorts of judgmental stuff happening. Maybe. I wouldn't know, and I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're younger and center right, maybe there's a lot of self-censoring going on. But then it's like, okay, who are your actual friends? Like, do you want to be part of some group where you have to censor yourself all the time or they're going to hate you and throw you out of a freaking kickball league or whatever it is? No, those are not actual friends. Those are bad people. And maybe they're doing you a favor by letting you know how bad they are so you can move on with your life and become a productive member of society with people who actually care about you.
Amen to that. And funnily enough, I ended up playing while I was still living in DC on a team fully comprised of straight men for soccer, and they just didn't care at all. And the irony there was hilarious to me. But
Could you have played in a women's league and just dominated?
if I identified as a woman, I
that
could
would have
have.
been a great revenge, honestly.
But guys, you'll have to let us know what you think in the comments below. Can you believe they're actually teaching non-binary and choose a gender adventure to kindergartners in some of these blue states? Absolutely diabolical. Let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, yada, yada, yada. And Guy, thanks so much for coming on. Everybody check out Guy's channels linked in the description. And we'll be back with more Normal Gays content real soon.